And today's topic, if you could put it up on the screen for me, that would be great. Today's topic is how to quit your job to start a business. And I want to preface this by saying this is how to do it safely, right? So if you plan on leaving your job because you just don't feel like it's your destiny, or it doesn't fulfill you, or you feel like your income is capped, maybe you're just unhappy with the situation, maybe you don't like your coworkers, maybe you don't like your boss, or maybe you do and you just don't want to work for anyone. I know the feeling really well because I was in the same boat. And for whatever reason, no matter what my job was, good or bad, I would always not feel right. I would feel like I was a small cog in a big engine. And I felt like I was helping somebody else achieve their dreams instead of me doing it to achieve my own. And so when I finally got enough courage to leave my job, it was because I had done it smart and I had sort of done it the right way, which is I started to build a business on the side and I started to plan ahead. And what I did is I thought very carefully about a business that I could start that could bring me cash in a relatively quick manner. And I also thought about my runway. And what I mean by that is how much cash that I had saved up that could pay my bills every month. So I looked at all my fixed expenses and I said to myself, okay, if I need $5,000 a month to live for rent, food, insurance, car payment, whatever, how much money do I have saved up and how many months of income will that last me? And that's what I called the runway, because think of it like a plane, right? And the longer the runway, the more speed you can build up to take off. But if you have a short runway, chances are that liftoff is going to be tougher. And so when I considered that and considered the way that I felt every day, and when I woke up every morning unfulfilled, I thought to myself, like, I needed to take a chance, but I needed to be responsible in terms of my runway and in terms of selecting the right business model that could bring in money quickly so that I wouldn't be spending my runway so I could have a longer runway. And so, by the way, if anyone's here in the chat, please let me know. Shoot a comment. Let me know who's here and where you're tuning in from. I'm always curious. We have one viewer in the chat right now, but I think that as time goes, we'll have more. And at some point, I'll invite somebody up to the stage. That's what we do. A segment of our show. I'll ask you a few questions, find out what you're up to and what you might need help in. Hi, Lindsay. Thanks for tuning in again. And then we'll have a short discussion and you could share, and I'll give you some advice on what I think about your transition. But I really want to focus the show on this type of content because I know there are so many of you out there that for whatever reason feel stuck in your situation and you want to get out of it. And you know that the only way to do that is to generate your own income, have the ability to give yourself a paycheck. And the way that you can do that is a business. But like I alluded to at the beginning of the show, we have to make sure that the business model we choose can pay us relatively fast, because if it doesn't, we start to get discouraged. We start to use all of our money that's our runway, and we start to have a little bit of disbelief creep in, a little bit of doubt creep in, even the best of us. And one of the tricky things with being an entrepreneur is that you don't have complete clarity and you don't have a crystal ball, so you can't see exactly what's coming next. And what that does is it creates this feeling of being uncomfortable that you have to get used to. But on that note, I want to play a clip. If any of you follow Alex Hormozi, he is a really great John Margulies. Let's promote you. Hey, Outdoor Checkups. How you doing? Thank you. We can talk about that after the show. Just shoot me a DM on Instagram. But what I wanted to do was I want to play a clip. Go ahead and play clip 1, because I think it's really, really telling the way that Alex describes leaving your job to start a business. Go ahead. Let's see clip 1 here. This is going to be Alex Hormozi's take on what he feels starting a business is like. Go
Not
ahead.
quitting if you want to do something else is like not taking a stranger up on a free lottery ticket. If they give you a free lottery ticket and you lose, you're back to not having anything. If you win, then your life changes forever. Quitting your job is short-term pain for long-term fulfillment, because the short-term pain comes from the judgment of others and likely a backstep in income. It's really a long-term, short-term sacrifice, which a lot of people aren't able to make. Not quitting if you want to do something else is like not taking a stranger up on a free lottery ticket.
Taj,
If they give.
Thank you. What Alex is saying here is he's equating not quitting your job to taking a lottery ticket that's free. Maybe that's not entirely true, but in the sense of you really have nothing to lose. So when we talk about planning to leave your job, we not only have to assess the runway and how much money you have, how much time you have, and the business model that you're choosing to pay you back fast enough, but you also could set the table and leave your job in a respectful way that you might be able to come back, or you might have the kind of job that you could get at other places. Point being is that if you stay in that job where you are, chances are in 2, 3, 4, maybe even 5 years from now, your life is going to be the same. You're going to be at the same place with the same thing going on. But if you leave and you take a chance and you plan it well and you do it as safely as possible, chances are that you could change your life forever. And I think it's worth it. I think it's worth playing that free lottery ticket. And if you do it right, you can mitigate a lot of things. But Alex makes a really good point, right? And it also leads me to believe one other thing. If you go to your job every day and you're not fulfilled by it, then I think that it's going to lead to most people being unhappy. And if I've learned anything in life, unhappiness in any situation is not worth it. We know that anybody can go at any time, obviously. But even beyond that, why would you wake up every morning knowing that you have to go do something that you don't want to do and that you don't feel is aligned with whatever your purpose is in life? And I believe that if you feel that way, you ultimately won't perform that well because you're just there to get a paycheck. And then other people in your workplace or on your team or at your company will feel it too. And it's sort of like a disease. It can infect everybody. And at some point, they might even let you go because they feel it so much. And I remember managing a pretty large sales team at a company that I used to work at. And when I had to let somebody go, the first thing I did was I sat them down and I told them that I was doing them a favor. And I really meant it. I wholeheartedly meant that I was doing them a favor by letting them go, because I was letting them go to a situation they possibly might be fulfilled at. And I knew that they were coming to work every day, feeling the heat, knowing that they weren't very good at the job. They weren't performing, because if anybody performs well, then they're not going to be let go. But when somebody needed to be let go because of performance, I told them, hey, I'm pushing you to a better opportunity. I'm pushing you towards happiness. I'm pulling you out of unhappiness for all of us. And I'm pushing you towards happiness. And I meant it every time. And I truly believe that. I have a couple of comments here. Lindsay says, I left Tesla. No longer need my blood pressure medication. I kept forgetting to take it after I moved, so I just monitored it. It's been perfect every time when I was at Tesla. It's been perfect every time. When I was at Tesla, it was high. Very good point. And in case in point, that's a real example of somebody that goes to a job every day. You're all out there. There are plenty of you out there that are at a job because you need to make money, and that's fine. That's the situation most people in life find themselves in. However, I believe that if you don't leave sooner than later, it's also going to be much more difficult to leave. And what brought me to wanting to create content about this topic is that the vehicle that I chose ended up being a very good vehicle for me because it brought income in fast and I was able to see results right away. I didn't have to make a large investment because there's no inventory, no equipment, no leases needed. I didn't have to go through a product development phase or do prerequisites that were required for me to start the business. I just picked a simple service that people already need and want, and I figured out a way to do it better. And because the service is so simple, didn't take me long at all to figure it out. So let's break it down. Number one, most important thing, do you have enough money saved up? And I have this new thought about a segment of the show called Ask ChatGPT. So I asked ChatGPT to break down the money side of this. And what I mean by that is, how much money should you have according to whatever your bills are? For example, my grandfather used to say, you never want your rent or your mortgage payment to be more than 20% of your take-home income, not your gross before taxes. I'm talking about what you take home. And so if you make $5,000 a month take home, your rent should be at $1,000 or less. And that's sort of a rule of thumb. But for the sake of asking ChatGPT, let's see what it gave us. All right. Let's see here. Pros of quitting your job to start a business. Number one is time leverage, it says. A job gives you linear income, but you trade hours for dollars. That makes sense. A business gives you leverage because there's systems, people, and processes that can make you money while you sleep. And this is true. And granted, we don't do many night jobs, but if you were in commercial cleaning, perhaps people would be cleaning after hours. You'd be asleep and you'd be making money while you sleep. And I think there's an old quote actually from Warren Buffett about making money while you sleep. Let me pull it up here. Most of you that follow me know that I love Warren Buffett quote on sleeping while you make money. I think he said that was the ultimate goal, if I'm not mistaken. And he says, if you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you'll work until you die. There you go. Warren Buffett, the GOAT, straight from his mouth. And that's a really good point. Number two for ChatGPT was speed of progress. So how serious you are, right? If you quit your job, you move faster because of the following. So most people don't fail because they're incapable. They fail because they're half in, and the quitting forces you to go all in. Number three is you learn faster in 12 months than in 10 years of employment. I think that's really true because, again, you're forced into the situation. You come to a situation where if you don't do all the things that are needed to start and run the business, you really don't make any money. Whereas when you're at your job, you know, every pay period, every 2 weeks, whatever it is, you're going to get paid. Now, some of you might work on commissions and have a little bit of different pay structure, but ultimately you don't have to pay the overhead of the business, right? And that's where things can get daunting because you only get to take home money if you get to cover the expenses of the business. All right. So in our Ask ChatGPT segment, I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to get to the actual money part here. So it says this is an entrepreneur friendly version of 60, 25, 15. So it's giving you a split of 60, 25, and 15, 1-5. 60% needs to be fixed expenses. So this includes rent, car payment, insurance, food, utilities, phone, internet, and basic living costs, just like I went over. So if more than 60% of your income is going to basic survival, quitting your job is very risky. All right. That's just a rule of thumb. 25% is wants and quality of life. That makes sense. Things like eating out, subscriptions, travel, fun spending, things like that. Things to give you a little bit of balance. Most people don't go broke from rent. They go broke from lifestyle things, right? And God forbid you like material things, then you're really broke. 15% is savings and runway. So again, runway, what I talked about is just giving you more time for the business to take off, and you need a buffer. So if you're bleeding money every month, you're spending more than you make, you want to slow the bleeding as much as possible, which gives you more time to actually make whatever the vehicle you've chosen work. For me, it was cleaning. For you, it could be a number of things. But in my opinion, a simple, boring service business is the way to go. And whether you want to go B2B or B2C and do a home service, that's really up to you. Maybe you have a talent in something that you could do yourself to bring in the cash immediately, and then you could teach other people to do. It could be handyman work. It could be a number of different things. But I think what you really need to look at, what I think is the most important of every factor in this, is demand versus education. Do you have to teach people about whatever it is that you're selling, your product or your service? Do you have to innovate something new that you need to explain to the public in order to get them to become comfortable with maybe purchasing it? If the answer to that is yes, then it's the wrong business. You're much more likely to succeed if you choose something that has an incredible demand already and you tap into that demand. And it goes back to the old saying, if you do research on a business idea you have and you find that a lot of other people are doing it, that's a good thing. Most people will say, oh man, there's a ton of competition. It's saturated. I don't want to do that. That's the wrong way of thinking. All you have to do is come into the market and tap into that demand and find a part of it where you can excel or differentiate. And once you start doing something every day for a long period of time, you can figure that out. That comes to you. For me, it was speed. I saw that my competitors were slow to respond when people would try to contact them. Some of them wouldn't answer their phones. Some of them would answer my emails 1 or 2 days later. And so I just thought, I'll come in and I'll respond very, very quickly, and I'll be quick to serve people. Nobody was offering same-day service. I figured out why it's hard to do, but I offered that. And eventually I carved out a place for myself. So now what I really want to do is I want to be here every day helping and encouraging you all to get to do the same thing that I've been blessed to do myself. And if I can help in just the smallest way, even if that's giving you a little inspiration, a little bit of hope, or maybe some strategy to make you more comfortable during the transition, then I'm here for that. Let's see in the comments. I'm here still, no good prospects, and it's still okay. That's fine, Lindsay. As long as you're not doing the same thing today that you did yesterday and the day before that wasn't working. And you need to advertise. Every new business needs to hold up a sign that says, we're here and this is what we do. Now, that could be a number of different ways. It could be a digital sign on Google or Yelp or Thumbtack. It could be somebody holding a sign on the corner of a street. It could be a billboard. It could be a number of things. But you have to hold up your proverbial sign to let the public know that you're offering whatever it is you're offering. You've got to find a place to hold up a sign, whether it's in real life or digitally, whatever it is. You've got to find a way to get the word out. And the trick to this is you have to find a way to do it affordably. The old saying in marketing is that whoever can spend the most to get a customer wins, and that's entirely true. And you can't get referrals until you build up a customer base. So somebody who wants to come up, if anybody is listening right now and you are in the situation that I've outlined, you want to leave your job or you want to start a business or both, go ahead and come up, message me on Instagram. The mod will give you a code to put in and you could come up on stage and we could have a discussion. All you have to do is DM me at John Margalite on Instagram, and then you can join the live call. And so going back while we're waiting for guests today, this is about how to quit your job to start a business. And I've identified how to pick the right kind of business, but I think that there's some other things that I want to point out. I'm going to go back to these numbers here because numbers don't lie. They're pretty indicative of setting sort of guardrails on this process for yourself. So it's showing here, ideally, rent is no more than 30%. I guess this is getting with the times from when my grandfather told me this back in the day, because rents are considerably higher than they used to be, and so is the price of a home. So maybe it's 20 to 30%. If you can have roommates or you can live with your family, even better. It says danger zone 40+%. How about a car? The total cost of a car with insurance plus gas should be no more than 10 to 12% of your income. So if your car costs more than your ability to build a business, you've got your priorities backwards. And traditionally, money experts like Dave Ramsey would say, buy a used car with cash. That way you don't have to pay any interest. And over time, you will have saved a bunch of money. My advice here is the exact opposite. I would go and I would lease the lowest price car I could find. Maybe like a Nissan Sentra or something like that. I would get a Nissan, or even Toyota's too expensive. Honda's too expensive now. I'd probably get a Nissan, or even Kia is getting expensive. But one of those type of cars, I would get the lowest model they have. And I would ask them, what do I have to pay to put $0 down to get the lowest monthly payment? And that's all I would do. I wouldn't shell out any cash, because this is a bridge and I want you to have enough runway. So if you're going to bet on yourself, you've got to find a way to get transportation without spending a bunch of your runway and without having a huge payment hanging over your head. And so is it counterintuitive to ultimately saving a bunch of money? Yes. But should you do it anyway for the time being because it'll help achieve the goal? Absolutely. We have 8 people in the chat. 8 people in the chat. Hey, John, Wu-Tang is here. And Lindsay, but you've had the same car since 2007. Is it a Tesla? Who would like to come up? John, you said that something was troubling you the other day. You commented on one of my videos. Would you like to come up and discuss it? If you would, all you have to do is DM me on Instagram, and the mod will send you a code and you'll be able to come up. I got one more clip to play, and it's also from Alex Hormozi, and it's the truth. It's the truth about what happens when you leave your job. And I don't want to scare you, but if you've been watching my content, you know that I keep it real, and you know that part of my responsibility as a creator is to show you the pitfalls and the pain before you encounter it. So that way, when you do, you have a better way to cope with it because you're expecting it. Go ahead and play clip 2.
You quit your job because you don't want to work as hard as you are and you want to make more money. But as soon as you quit, you will realize that you are now going to work way harder than you were and you're going to make less money. And here's the really hard truth about it. The first time you do it, it's the biggest rush ever. You quit your job, you do the business, and you get some first traction. And that first dollar that you make when the new business is like the best dollar ever. But it's such a strong reinforcer. That big success of quitting one thing and starting another, you need to immediately forget. Because after that, you have to just stick with it for a very long period of time.
All right. So as Alex does very bluntly and eloquently, he explains something. And he does this short-term pain for long-term success paradox. And it really is what happens. And notice at the end, he gives you a very valuable piece of advice. Alex says, you've got to stick with it for a very long time. So you have to understand that when you first leave, you're going to have that rush and you're going to get that feeling of, I did it and I built up the courage and I moved on. And I have a plan. I picked the right vehicle. But that's going to come to a head because you're going to be faced with challenges that you've never been faced with before. And you're going to have to persevere. And it might take a lot longer than you think. It's taken me a lot longer. I mean, I excelled in the cleaning business, but as a content director, thank you, Luke, as a content director, as a content creator, I've been creating for almost 2 years now, and I barely have a following on YouTube. And I've been pumping out videos and doing all the right things, and I still don't have that much traction. So I'm grateful to the 7 people that are here watching now. And Luke, if you'd like to come up, let me know. Just DM me on Instagram. All you have to do is send me a message at John Margalite, and you'll get a code to come up and we can talk. If anybody else is listening and you find yourself in this sort of boat and I'm speaking to you, you are nodding along and you're the person that I'm talking about, I welcome you up here to join me. I also wrote this free guide that I put together about why most businesses fail, and even more specific, why they fail before they ever even had a chance to succeed. Because I know that most business models are stacking the odds against you. That's why so many fail. It's not you necessarily, it's not the person, it's what they chose to be their vehicle. So I put together this guide. I'll go ahead and share the link after this. I'll put it in the community, and if you want to take a look at it, you can. I think it's very helpful, and it should open up your mind to some things. Let me see in the your content is always very great. Thank you, and useful. Thank you, Lindsay. I really appreciate that. Who else in the chat has any kind of situation like this going on? Is anybody either at a job that is not fulfilling, or is transitioning out, or has some sort of startup idea that they're pursuing? If you are, please leave me a comment or just come up on stage and we could chat about it. I'm going to go back to my little list here at ChatGPT. And now I'm going to get to the pros here. I'm going to get to the rest of them. So pro number 4 is something that I love. Pro number 4 is you build an asset instead of just income. Think about that. You go to work every day and you get your paycheck, but you're not building an asset for yourself. You're building an asset for someone else. Maybe you have options in the company. Maybe you get to share in the upside if the company gets acquired or the company goes public or whatever it may be. But chances are that you're not in that situation, because that situation is relatively rare. And the people that are in those positions typically have a passion or some sort of, I don't know if I want to call it fantasy, but some sort of vision that they're going to be a part of that company and that company is going to be successful. And that's why they're chosen as somebody who is getting options of the company. But if you're not that and you're working a normal job that you don't like, then at some point you're going to reach a breaking point, and you're either going to leave because you can't take it anymore. One of three things. You're going to leave because you can't take it anymore. You're going to leave before you make a plan and you're ready, or you're just going to walk out with nothing because you just don't want to deal with it anymore. I don't know. Or maybe it's the fourth thing. Maybe I'll give you the fourth one. It's even worse. You stay there. Oof. I can't even imagine. And I had it good. I loved my boss. I loved the people I worked with. They were all smart and nice, and we'd go out and do things together. And I couldn't wait to get out of there, because I'm just that person that doesn't want to work for anyone else. I just don't like it. Anybody else have any thoughts or questions or comments? I will go back here and I'll go into part 2. Now, this is the cons. All right. So pay attention to this. And again, this is the whole truth and nothing but the truth. Number 1 con is financial stress. And entrepreneurship is not as glamorous as everybody thinks it is. It's mostly uncertainty, problem solving, and self-doubt. That's what it is. And if you're ready for that, it can be incredibly life-changing. But if you're not built for it, it can definitely put some heartache on. And either way, I think that if you could go back to your job or get a similar job if things didn't work out, then it wouldn't be so bad. And maybe you can lower the stakes a little bit and make it so that you could just go try something. Has anybody in the chat ever read the book Burn the Boats? Has anybody ever read that? I want to see in the chat. Has anybody ever said, hi, Growth Hub, hey, how's it going? Oh, and I see your question there. But I want to ask a question. Has anybody read Burn the Boats? Let me tell you what it's about. I forget the year, but I know that Julius Caesar had a ship go on to to go to an island to fight. I forget who it was, but basically the moral of the story is they got there, they got off the ship with all their weapons and they were ready to fight, but they encountered something they weren't expecting. They were outnumbered. They were outnumbered and they were going to retreat. But instead of retreating, Caesar told them to burn the boats. Why did he do that? Because he knew that if they had no other option, they had a fighting chance to win. That's what he did. He ordered them to burn the boats and they were forced to stay and fight. And so a lot of people think if you're going to go start a business, you have to burn the boats. And they may be right. Because if there's an out during those times when you're feeling that pressure, you might want to take it. I'll admit to you, when I started my cleaning business, even though it was generating revenue, I had quite a few conversations with my wife about starting another business, about some sort of way to flip it really quick. It got hard. It got really hard. But I'm so grateful that she kept saying to me, no, we're not doing that. You're sticking this out. You already put me through a bunch of shit for, not having an income anymore. And we have this mortgage payment and all these things. And then I said, all right, I'm going to make it work. But it was very hard. All right. Number 2, you might pick the wrong business. Now, this is huge because the mistake isn't quitting your job. It's quitting for a business that can't pay you back quickly. Number 3, you lose stability, at least temporarily. All right. Temporarily. You trade certainty for opportunity. And I think that's what Alex was trying to say, is that you trade certainty for opportunity. Keep that in mind. That's important. Number 4, you can burn bridges if you quit emotionally. And I touched on this. If you quit strategically, you're good. If you quit emotionally, no bueno, no good. All right. And part 3 is the balance take, which is your, or my philosophical position here. Right. So I'll tell you this. Quitting your job is not brave or stupid by default. It's either smart or reckless, depending on what business you choose and how prepared you are. That's it. That's the bottom line. That's the bottom line. And if anybody is here and they're hearing this, I'm sure that they can attest to it. I'm sure they can. Luke, I'm running a startup called Daily Solar. Oh, Luke, come on up. Let's talk about it. And in the meantime, I will answer Growth Hub 24. Is the new person in the business, are they not able to notice that this person is still new? And undermine your systems even still. Your clients help me with that. I don't know what you mean. He wrote, is the new person in the business, are they not able to notice that this person's still new? Growth Hub, what do you mean? I'm not really sure what you mean. You might want to come up and discuss as well. But Luke, I definitely want to hear about the Daily Solar. And I definitely want you to come up and talk to me about it, because I think that we could share some really good, positive things with the group. And maybe we could learn something together. I think that would be great. Luke, would you come up? Shoot me a message here. If you can, DM me at John Margalite on Instagram. And boy, starting a new show is... it's quite the thing, because you show up and you don't know if anyone's going to support you. But we have 5 people still here with me, and I want to let you know I appreciate you. I really do. Luke, are you coming up to talk about Daily Solar? I'm going to take a guess what Luke maybe here is starting. I think Luke's business is potentially, maybe he's an affiliate of a solar company or something. Maybe he's selling solar products. I don't know. Luke, am I right? All right, Luke, I'm losing all the listeners as I'm waiting for you. So I'm going to keep going on my segment. And here's another thing that is very important. You should not quit. All right. You should not quit if these are the circumstances. You should not quit if you just hate your job. You should not quit if you have no savings. You should not quit if you don't have your first customer. God, I love that one. Your business requires huge startup costs. You're chasing passive income fantasy. Don't quit for any of those reasons. All right. You're ready to quit when you have 3 to 6 months of expenses saved. So you have a 3 to 6 month runway. You've validated demand, which means that people have actually paid you for whatever it is that you're selling. That's important. And anybody working any job has the ability and the time to validate whatever it is that they want to start. Getting one customer, if you can't get one customer while you're working your job, it's not a good business for you, period. Or maybe it's just not a good business at all. You're ready to quit when you picked a simple cash flow business. You're ready to quit when you have a clear 30, 60, 90-day plan. And you're ready to quit when you're willing to work harder than you ever have. Did you notice that when Alex was talking about it in the second clip? You're going to have to work harder than you ever imagined. And it's actually logical, right? Because when you're working somewhere, you're not paying the overhead. You don't have to worry about all the people. You have to do your job, even if it's managing a team. When you own the business, you're responsible for every facet of the business. You have to, in other words, you have to pay for everything that's going on. And when you have to pay for everything, you have a lot more responsibility and you have a lot more work. All right, we got a few people here. Luke, if you're with us, I'd love to have you up to talk. If anybody else has any questions, let me know. Growth Hub 24, I don't know what you meant about, is this a new person in the business? If you want to clarify that, we can discuss it. And for part 5, I already shared with you guys part 7, strong live stream talking points for you. Wow. Did you see how ChatGPT just did that? Let me read them to you. Quitting your job doesn't make you free. Building a profitable business does. Oh, that's a great one. The best business for a beginner is not sexy. It's simple and pays fast. Your first business should be about cash flow, not passion. You don't need a perfect plan. You need paying customers. Love that one. That one's so good. I get people here on TikTok too. Wow. All right. Most people don't need more ideas. They need more execution. Couldn't have said it any better myself. That is the darn truth. And with that, I'm going to ask one more time. If anybody wants to come up, please join me. We can have a segment where we run through some questions, get some answers, and get some clarity. If we don't get anybody up, I'll wrap sooner today. And I'm going to remind everybody every day. Confidence doesn't come from preparing. Confidence comes from taking action, because action gets you reps. It gets you in the batter's box. It gets you on the free throw line. It gives you shots on goal. And until you take real shots at the goal, you will not know how to shoot. Just because you think you know how to shoot or you've been preparing to shoot doesn't mean that you've actually shot. Hey, John, let me know. Just try to come out. What does it say? See, let me go to Instagram. Can you just tell me the process of how I could do it so I can come up live? Yeah, we can't share the code here on the live because of spammers. So you have to DM me on Instagram. Just shoot me a DM and just say guest. Just write guest. One word, I'll have you up, and it's perfect timing. The end of the segment of the show, we'll do a quick question and answer with Growth Hub. Maybe we'll get an update and we'll have some fun. Are you able to come up? The mod is waiting for you in the Instagram DMs. If you want to come up, we can discuss this. If anybody else wants to come up, please DM me at John Margulies on Instagram. That is the only way to safely have guests on the show without being spammed. You can DM at John Margulies on Instagram to join the call. All right. Now, one other thing that we should talk about is how it affects other people. If you're not alone, then whoever is coming along for this ride needs to be on board. They need to be on the same page. You need to agree with them what the plan is. And it's probably better if you have people on board for two reasons. Number one, they can support you. And number two, you won't be in it alone. You won't be in it alone. It's like Alcoholics Anonymous or quitting something in life. I'm talking about addictions, not jobs. There's always a positive effect and a better outcome when there's some community and togetherness. That's why they have a sponsor. That's why they have meetings. It helps. You know what's funny? This every day is our meeting. But instead of quitting alcohol or drugs, we're quitting jobs. I just drew that parallel. Does that suck or is that kind of clever? Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the chat. All right, I got another minute, Growth Hub. I'd love to have you up, but there's no other way to do it. Just go and shoot me a DM on Instagram, and that would be good. Sarah Neri, hi, from IG. Hi, John. I'm interested in the remote cleaning business. All right. Can I hire a VA to help me with answering the calls from the start? Sarah, yes, absolutely. I have several students that work full-time jobs, and from the start, they have a virtual assistant who answers all the calls, takes care of all the bookings and everything. It's actually not that hard. It's simple, but I offer a special program for that. And let me add Luke to the stage. Here's Luke is coming up. And while Luke's coming up on the stage, I want to answer Sarah's question in detail because a lot of people have this question. What you can do is you can go on upwork.com, upwork.com, or just Google virtual assistants and, virtual assistant service, and you can get it. Or if it's for a cleaning business specifically, I recruit, hire, and train them for you and install them into your business ready to go. So if you want that, just shoot me a DM and I can explain that offer to you. But you can find other options online and you can certainly find them for less. But with mine, they're just ready to run your business and they're ready to convert calls into paying customers. I have a hand in the training myself. Luke, thank you for joining me.
How's it going?
It's going good. I see you're in your car. Are you on a break right now, or are you just doing business and you're driving around?
A little bit of both. I actually came here to play guitar for a while. I'm at the practice space, but I work on my phone and mobily a lot, so I can really work wherever.
Okay. Here's the thing. Just so everybody knows that's here, and I'm going to run you through some questions. If you've ever felt stuck in a job, short on runway, or behind compared to everyone else, you belong here. This show is about thinking clearly, choosing smarter business models, and building something that can make real profit fast without going into debt. I've been exactly where you are, so I know the feeling. Now we've got Luke here for this segment of the show, and I want to do the intake really quickly. Let's get this fast like a lightning round. Luke, what do you do right now to make money?
So I run Daily Solar, which is a startup that helps renewable energy installers and developers with sales, marketing, and project management.
Excellent. And can you give us a little bit of context? Did you work at another company and that's where you learned how to do this? Okay.
Yeah, I started out at a residential solar company doing sales. I started a startup before this, and we can talk about that if you want. But so I had some sales experience, but once I got into solar sales, I loved it. I hated the company I worked at, but I was the top rep there, so it was only natural to think, oh, I could do this myself.
Okay. So this isn't a side hustle. This is a full-blown business that you started.
Yep.
Okay. And in one sentence, what do you want to be true in 12 months? One thing, one sentence.
I want to be able to afford to hire a team of sales reps.
Okay. That's a good goal. Tell me, what is your monthly fixed expense rate right now? How much money do you need to make to pay all of your fixed expenses?
Great question. I'd say like 5K.
Okay. And I'm curious, how much money do you take home right now from Daily Solar a month?
I'd rather leave that confidential if that's cool, but I'm supporting my basic expenses
Okay.
without much savings, you know.
Okay. So what I really wanted to know was, are you bleeding or are you above water? That's what I wanted to know. No, we
Oh,
don't need to get into specifics, but are you
yeah,
covering
yeah,
your
I'm
monthly nut?
floating.
Excellent.
I'm
Excellent.
floating, yeah.
Okay. The reason why I ask that is because if you're not, I'd love to discuss what you could do to get there. But since you are, please share with us how you got there and how long it took.
It took about 2 years, which was way longer than I ever thought it would take, like you were saying. Um, how did I get there? I mean, partnering with the right people. For a while, I was trying to sell residential solar, which is what I'd done before, but I realized the market was incredibly overpopulated, and so once I was able to pivot into commercial solar, I think it's been better, but you know, there's pros and cons because on the commercial side, these contracts could take 6 months to a year to close.
Right. All right. So then the next question I have is, did you sustain your job while you were starting this company?
Yep, and it honestly prevented me. I think I just had a lot of haters telling me that I couldn't start a company and I should focus on my job, and I listened to them. So, you know, keeping the job helped me to pay my expenses in the meantime, but I would have been able to start executing on the company way faster if I weren't burnt out from having a 9 to 5, you know?
Yes. And that's the trade off, right? But at least you had enough energy and gumption to go ahead and start building this thing and putting the foundation down while you were still making money from your job so that way you could hit the ground running when you finally made the transition fully. Is that accurate?
Yeah, and it's from experience. You know, my first startup, I did the opposite, and I learned that you gotta, you know, take an educated guess. You know, it is a leap of faith, but you gotta look before you leap.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Okay. And let's see here. All right. How many customers do you serve currently with Daily Solar?
You know, our pipeline is about 10 customers.
About 10?
Yeah.
And is that all you need, or how many customers do you need to sustain the income that you need to pay your monthly bills? Is about right?
Yeah, about that many. The thing is, I'm at an interesting spot. I wonder if you can, or can I ask a question yet, or
Yes,
do you have
please.
more
It's no,
questions?
no, no. You're up.
So,
I just want to get a
so
lay of the
I've
land.
got basically two paths where like I could keep going down my current bootstrapping mode, um, and I'll make decent money, but I'm really in this for the impact. I'm about addressing climate change, and I feel like I'm not going to make a dent unless I really scale this organization. And so, should I be taking VC money or loans such that I can actually hire on a sales team with a salary? The thing is, in solar, there's a
I get
ton
it.
of 10 there's a ton of 1099 reps
I
without
know.
base pay, and I hated that struggle, but at the
Yep.
same time, it would allow me to scale faster. So it's like, what
I
do I
understand
do?
the dilemma. I'll tell you what to do very clearly. Bootstrap. Don't take money. What's going to happen if you take money? I've been there before. When you take money, you have to start answering to someone else. It's your business, but you have to start reporting to them. And every little decision that you make, you got to run by people and you have to be able to explain things. You're much better off at this early stage of the business using your intuition, what got you here, than taking money from somebody else and then trying to appease them. It's kind of like the same situation that a lot of companies go through when they go public. And the reason why is their sole purpose before they went public was to just create an amazing product or service. But once they go public, that's not their goal anymore. Their goal is to appease and make money for the shareholders. And
Yeah.
that could have a huge, huge effect on how the company runs and the customer experience. So at this stage, way too early. You got to keep going. You got to keep bootstrapping.
Well,
100%.
how do you feel about, I really do want to be able to pay reps a salary, but that's not what I have experienced in the past. And so it's like I will need to bootstrap for way longer if I'm going to be paying them a significant salary versus if I just brought on 1099 commission only reps. But is that even morally permissible?
Absolutely. I mean, if you have a contract with them and they they willingly, without a gun to their head, sign a contract that says that they want to make money only on commission, that's fine. I mean, I don't know how good of a sales rep you'll get or wouldn't get. I think it's a crapshoot. But I think at the end of the day, again, going back to what Alex said, Hermosi said, you got to do it for a really long time. So I think how long has it been now? How many years or weeks or months has it been since you started?
2.5 years.
So you're still relatively new. I would say that at the 5-year mark, double of the time you put in, that's when you go back and you ask yourself again. And I don't think that investors, I don't think your company's investable right now. I think that you have to prove that you can get customers through some sort of marketing or advertising. How do you get customers now? Are you cold prospecting?
Yep.
Okay. So that's not an investable model unless you found a very special way to do it that no one else knows, and you were growing your company and it felt like your company was on steroids and you had some sort of proprietary way of doing things. But right now, what investors look for is hey, Jeremy Reitman. Hey, thanks. I appreciate that. What investors look for is a model that they can just pump money into that can give them a return, but they have to see a very clear path. They have to see
Makes sense.
that a flame is lit, and if they pour gasoline on it, the fire will spread everywhere. And they're typically looking for a 4 or 5 return on every dollar that the business is spending on advertising. And if you
Yeah.
haven't figured out that channel yet that's going to do that and scale, they don't want to be the guinea pig. They just want to be the gasoline. They want to be the rocket fuel. All right.
That makes sense.
Yep. Continue to build the rocket and get it ready for that fuel so you can go to the moon. Any other questions?
Yeah, what do you think about like grants? Like, is it a waste of time for me? There's a lot of energy grants out there, but like, should I be spending that time just prospecting for customers, or would it be useful for me to look for grants?
Great question. If you ever question, should I do something or should I get more customers? The answer is always get more customers. It's a very easy thing. Why? Because it's the source of cash. Focus all of your energy on the cash and everything else will figure itself out.
So you do think I should start bringing on 1099 commission only reps?
If you think it's the best way to grow the business, yes. There's nothing morally irresponsible about it. If adults make willing decisions, based on whatever their situation is, you might be really helping someone. There might be someone that has a hard time getting a job, but they have a lot of talent. And maybe you give them a chance and they end up making you a lot of money in themselves.
That's how I came up in a way. So
there you go.
What about, they're just going to leave once they become successful and are able to get a job at a more established company?
That's fine. If you're a stepping stone and they help you grow and you help them grow, great. And this is also where you need to think about, Luke, what can I do to make this a great place for this person to work, especially if they start to produce? And so I think that it comes down to relationships. If somebody really likes you and they like your vision for the company and they have the same shared interest in climate, healing the climate, and whatever it is that you have a mission to do, they'll rally around that. But if you just make it another commission place to work, they'll go looking for the highest commission.
Wow. I love that.
Great.
What about loans? Are there,
Sure.
Am I way too early to be considering loans? What do banks look for when they're providing loans to a startup?
Yeah, that's a great question. In order to go through underwriting and get approved, it's the same sort of thing that an investor would do. You have to de-risk the business and you have to show them exactly what you're going to spend the money on and how you can prove to them that the money will make a return so you can pay them back. If you can't do that yet, then no underwriter is going to approve a loan anyway, unless you have collateral. So you either
Okay.
have proof or you have collateral. Where you want to be is you want to find a channel or multiple channels where you can start spending money and proving that you can grow the business. And then you want to document that, almost like make a case study out of it. And that's what you take to the bank. But you can only do that when you've proven it enough times at scale. It can't just be like to 10 customers. It might have to be to 1,000 or maybe several hundred. But as soon as you can prove that all you need is money, all you need is rocket fuel to take the rocket to the moon, they'll give you a loan.
Great. Thank you so much. This has been awesome startup therapy.
Yeah, I'm so glad you came up. I was trying to get you to join. And I see an old pal of mine, Jeremy Reitman, is in the comments. Jeremy, if you could come up. I haven't talked to Jeremy in a long time directly, but I know that he was a marketing director or head of marketing, or he was, and maybe he was the CMO, chief marketing officer at Lava or
Great.
Lavo. It was Avo, what it was. But anyway, Luke, thank you for coming up, and I wish you luck. And stay in touch. Let me know if you need any other help, and come back for an update.
I will. Thanks a lot. Have a good one.
Have a great day. Thanks so much. Jeremy, if you want to come up, I'd love to have you up just to drop some knowledge and contribute. I know you're full of nuggets for the audience, especially when it comes to startup. I know you joined Avo when it was really a young company, and I think you helped grow that company to an exit or an IPO or something of that nature. But if Jeremy doesn't want to come up and share, or he can't right now, I'm going to go ahead and, oh, hey, Minash.
Hi.
Hey,
Hi, how are you
how's
doing?
it going? Good. How are you?
All good. I just had to pack and enjoy this life.
I love it. Tell me what's on your mind, Minash. Tell us about your situation.
All right. So I'm in a bit of dilemma, John. There are a lot of situations happening around me. First, I'm doing two jobs right now. I do support, which I do in the evening, and I do Uber, which I'm doing currently.
Okay.
So when I joined Uber, I wanted to just have my own flexible time and think maybe if it works well and if the numbers goes well as they say, I might just as well leave my job and do Uber full time. But the the theory is not always as practical. When I joined it, I had to
Yeah.
wait for 6 months to process my license and everything with the councils. When I joined it, I realized that you have to grind for almost 10 hours to make something like 200 pounds, 250 pounds. So it's something that is not sustainable. And when I do that, the next day, to tell you the truth, I'm exhausted.
Yep.
So I was like, no, it's not a business. I've just created another job for myself. And
That's right.
the problem is, you cannot give someone else and say, can you run this for me? No, you can't do that. So that's when I just started researching and said, okay, what if I do a cleaning business? So when I was doing some research, I went through a lot of content till I was glued to your content. The reason why you were so step on the numbers, you were very very clear. This is what I do, and this is how I'm making. So I was like, no, this guy seems like he knows what he's doing. Let me try to follow. I think I've gone through 80% of the videos that you have posted. The only thing that is remaining right now is execution. Though I have started the process, I think when you started your life, the following day, I communicated with one company that had started their cleaning company here in the UK. So they offered me so that they will help me with the startup and like everything under £2,500. That is to register the business, all the equipment that I need for a startup, and the insurance as well. and they said they will train at least 2 people that I will employ for a start. But
All
now
right, let me
their model is not really the way you do it. What I want is the remote cleaning business. I
okay.
don't want the hands-on, because if I do hands-on, I've created a third job for myself again, which is
But
something that I don't want currently.
no, you're right. But let me ask you a couple questions.
Yeah.
This company that you're talking to, what do they get from you? What do you have to give them besides the initial $2,500?
All right. So what happens is they sell franchises, right?
Ah, I got it.
So when I talked to the guy, I explained my situation, right?
Yep.
And he said, "Okay, I understand your situation. So because of this, I wouldn't want you um to join my franchise. I want the name, the company, to be in your name for some reasons that I cannot mention here on live."
I
But
would
he
stay
said, "No,
away.
I cannot give you the franchise
Look,
on my, because if you want to do anything in the future, it's a franchise. It's not your company. So I have
yep.
to help you in creating what you want for the same amount that I do with other franchise, but I'll just be helping you and you do your own thing."
You don't need it. Let me ask you a few questions, okay? Because I'm going to get a better idea of what's going on, so I can help you make a decision. Right away, my gut says no. It's not. You don't need that. You don't need 2,500 pounds to start a cleaning business. Number one, and number two, unless it's a very very well known name and they're doing a bunch of marketing and they're like a known name with goodwill, meaning they have a great reputation in the community, then I wouldn't do it. It's not worth it. I would rather you take that money and invest it in advertising, because you need to build your own name and it's not tied to anybody else. But let me
I've
ask you
already
a few questions.
I've already invested some money. The problem
Okay.
is, uh okay, I've already invested some money into it, almost like £1,000. I'm left with the other one once everything is set.
So that's what I'm going to ask
So
you.
yeah, and part of the money, it's once I have invested on the contract that I signed, it's not refundable.
Okay. So answer me this question.
Yeah.
Yep. So your day job is customer service and you're doing Uber as well, right?
Okay, I do support work.
Support, customer support.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
support work,
on
but
the phone.
I do night shifts. No, support work, like I work as a healthcare assistant.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. And
So
is that during the day or during the night?
no, during the night. It's a night
Okay.
shift, 8 to 8.
And during the day you drive Uber and that's why you're
Uh,
exhausted.
During the day, I do support 3 days a week. The other time I'm not doing it. I'm with Uber during the day or at night. For example, now it's night. It's on a Friday night. I'm going to do Uber the whole night.
Yep. I totally get it. Answer me, try to make it concise just so I can keep it moving. Um, what did you invest $1,000 in? What did you give the guy money for?
All right. I gave the guy the money, number one, to register the business, which is just maybe around 60, 70 pounds. It's not that much. It has raised to 100 pounds though. So
Okay.
the list that he gave me, he said is going to involve my insurance for the year, creating a website, creating my Google profile, and the verification, creating other the phone
So
line for the business,
yeah.
and the equipments that I will need, the cleaning equipments that you will provide for me. He said
So,
it's going to take you for 6 months.
so I don't like it. And I probably, if I was you, like sometimes in life, you have to cut bait. Meaning like if you make any, and I'm not saying that you made a bad decision. I don't know, but I'm saying if you do find yourself in a position where you laid out some money and you find out that it's not the best path for you, sometimes it's better to cut and just lose what you lost and keep moving. And I'm not saying to do that yet. But my gut is telling me that that's not a good situation, because a lot of what you told me just now, you could do yourself for free. And like, let me give you an example. Like an AI website, I'm sorry, a website, there's AI tools. I can give you the name of one right now that you could build a cleaning business website in 10 minutes, and you could do it on a free trial, and I think it's $12 a month to have the thing. So I'm just saying that I think that if you buy it all in a package from somebody like that, it sounds like you won't have as much control and you'll be on somebody else's model. Does that make sense?
No, well, for what he said is okay. I understand what you're saying, but what he said is okay. Part of that money it's involving the trainings and there's when the business like what he promised say okay I will monitor you for the first month or two, then when you are good to go, when you're now having clients and stuff like that, you can do the whole thing like the website and
Okay.
everything, it's yours. He's not going to take control of it.
Got
That's
it.
what he
Okay.
said.
All right. So you basically invested in training and know-how and support so you can get up and running.
Kind of, because from the very first I didn't know how to go about it. Like, okay, if I want to
I understand.
register the business, after that, what's the next step? So I just said, okay, it's just easy
Sure.
to get someone who has already gone the way to just help me with everything.
So I want to talk about this for a second because you mentioned something that a lot of people get stuck on. They want to start a business like a cleaning business, and then they don't know where to start or what the next steps are, right? And
Yeah,
so it seems logical to want to go and link up with somebody that can offer you all these things that you're not sure of. But I want to break this down really quick into three sort of components or phases. The first one um, is the demand capture phase, meaning that you need to have something. And I equated this to holding up a sign earlier in the show. You've got to hold up some sort of sign somewhere that shows the general public in your local area what it is that you do. And people are already looking for cleaning services. So you just need to show up where they're looking. That's Google, Yelp, and other sites like that. Then you need to be able to price effectively so you make enough profit. So you need the pricing system. And then the third thing you need is the fulfillment system. And that's getting cleaners to do the jobs for you, right? And so if
yeah,
I was you, I would just focus on getting your online foundation set up so that people could find you. Then you can get customers. Once you get customers and you're doing business, you'll have to force yourself to learn how to price. Oh, all great advice, John. More happy. Oh, thanks. All right, that sounds good, Jeremy. I definitely want to have you up next time. Sorry, I'm getting some comments here. But those
all
are
right,
the
it's okay.
three major things, right? So you need to have a website so people could find you. You need the ability to price things right so that you can make a profit. And then the third thing that you need is you need fulfillment. You need somebody to actually go out and perform the work. Let me ask you this. What do you want to be true in 12 months from now? If you could make one wish, what would you want to come true in 12 months?
If I want that, what I would want is I want to establish my business. At least at a minimum, I'm not expecting much for the start. At least if I can make 5K each
Okay.
and every month, right? Not like 5K on maybe around profit. I'm good for a start for this next 12 months. I'm okay. Then if I manage to do that, then I'll raise my expectation. But right now I'm looking at 5 to 6K each and every month after expenses. I'm okay.
Okay. And how much are you making per month right now, roughly?
All right, roughly I can say okay on my job and Uber, roughly let's just say 3K.
Okay. And what about it's 3K total or 3K just from Uber?
From Uber because I don't do it full time.
Right.
Normally right now January, February things are really down, things are really crazy. But when the things that were moving well, at least 2K from Uber you could make it in a month.
Okay. And how much do you make a month from your support job?
Uh, because I removed some shifts, maybe from 1,005 to 1,700 roughly.
All right. So you're basically like 3,500 a month is about how much you're taking in.
Yes,
Okay.
roughly that much.
And what do you need to pay your bills? What are your fixed expenses every month? Is it
All right,
more
my
than
fixed
3,500 or less?
maybe 2,500. But I have
2,500?
yeah, but I've got my partner. We help each other on that.
Okay. All right. So then that means that you have a little bit of money to save, right? About $1,000 around there.
Yeah, yeah, roughly I can do that.
Okay. So what I want you to do is I want you to focus on getting your website up and getting your payment processor set up so you can take money. All right.
Okay.
I want you
Yeah.
to get that set up, and that way you will look legitimate to the public and you can accept jobs. The first thing once you do when you get that set up is run some sort of advertisement. I would use Google local service ads. I would just turn that on and tell it that you want to spend $100 a week if you can. All right.
Okay.
And what
Yeah.
that's going to do is it's going to get your phone to ring. And I would not go and get cleaners first. I would go get customers first. And once you see that you get a customer, then go get your cleaners. You might want to
How?
have it. Well, how do people find people in you're in the UK, right?
Yeah.
Do you guys have sites like indeed.com where people put
Yeah.
their resumes? That's where you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Yep,
We do.
You post a job that make the title professional house cleaner and put an ad on Indeed. It's very inexpensive. You will get a ton of applications. That's what you do.
Okay, from the way you were saying it, you told me that okay, you can find experienced cleaners who
Yeah.
already have their own like companies, right? Maybe the last time we were talking about maybe those ones who have got 3 or 4 reviews, and maybe deal with those ones. So that's when you say that, I said no. Okay, I think it quite makes sense because I don't have the cleaning experience myself, and it's better rather to work with those people who have got experience than to want to employ someone whom I have to teach, yet I don't have the experience as well.
I agree with you. So do that. But if you already have if you call those people and you already have a customer, then they're going to want to take the job. If you call them and you're buttoned up, meaning you have your pay rate sheet, you have a sheet of or a document you can give them that says this is how much you make from these jobs I give you. That's first. You have to communicate clearly to them how they get paid and what they get paid based on every job. You need to bring them that first and then tell them that you have more jobs than you do cleaners and you need extra help. Do they want to take a job? And say, I have a job right now that I have nobody for. And most of them will say yes. And that's how you do it. But you go get the customers.
All right. So on that one, I understand, which is something that this guy is doing for me because he's going to on that 2,500 he's going to run ads as well. He's going to create some leaflets that are going to help me with that. So I think that one is on the way. Maybe just a month or less, everything will be sorted out. But now another question that I do have is on the pricing. Last time I think I commented something in the inbox. I said, you know what, in Manchester the problem that we have is there are a lot of like franchises or companies that are running 18 to 20 pounds an hour.
Yep.
If I'm to do that, the minimum wage right now currently is around 12 pounds 50 or 12 pounds 60, roughly around, let's just say 13 pounds, right? So what am I getting after if I want to obviously I'm starting in, I cannot price it that high and I want to gain market as well.
Whoa. No. That's in your head. What do you mean you can't price it high? Why not? If you're having professional cleaners come do it and they're going to do a good job, why can't you price it high?
What if on the same job that I'm charging maybe 30 pounds, 25 pounds an hour, there are a ton of people that are willing to do that.
Nope. I'm gonna cut you off. I'll tell you why. You're making things up in your head. What if this? No. What you need to do is you need to set your price. And then when you come into contact with prospective customers, you need to differentiate and explain to them the value of your service. If they don't want it, they can go somewhere else. But if you really are putting your heart and soul into giving them good service, great communication, and you're trying to find the best professional cleaners to do the job, you can charge for that. People are happy to pay for it. Just because someone has been around longer than you doesn't mean that they're better than you are. Trust me. Get rid of that thought. Okay. You're completely wrong. Do it as best as you can and tell people they have to pay. If you can't charge enough from the start, you're going to fail anyway. You won't make enough money.
Yeah. Okay. So how do I set up my pricing that I'll be left with the profit? Let's start from residential cleaning.
All right. So I, this is a joke, but I have a pricing guide in my course. I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want to come up here and be a course salesperson, but I
Okay.
do have all that in my program. And if this guy, if you're paying him money, he should give you his pricing strategy or whatever that is.
Okay.
The way that I price is I do it by the type of cleaning. Is it a move out clean, a deep clean, a standard clean? Is it an Airbnb property cleaning? Whatever type of cleaning it is, and how big the property is. So I take the square feet of the property and what type of cleaning it is, and then I factor that in. Here's the logic. Okay, let me just give you the base and the foundation of how I price. I guesstimate how long it's going to take how many people to do the job. That's first. So let me give you an example. Okay. Let's say that it's a 1,000 square foot flat. Okay. It's not a house. It's a flat. It's a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom flat. Okay. You can visualize this, right?
Yeah.
If the place is very dirty and it needs a deep clean, in my head, 2 cleaners should be able to finish this in 2 hours, 2 to 2.5 hours. So if they take 2 hours for 2 cleaners, that's 4 total hours, right? If I'm paying $20 an hour, my labor cost is 4 hours times $20. That's $80. Are you following?
Yeah.
Whatever you think your labor cost is, you should charge 3 times that. So
even for residential cleaning.
It doesn't matter because the standard cleaning will take less time. So your cost will be $50 instead of $80 or $90. So if it's $50, you charge $150 is your final price. You have to mark up 3 to 4 times everything that your cost is, or else you won't make enough money. I've learned that already. So I can give you my pricing guide, or I could just tell you how I do it. The benefit of having a pricing guide is I list it all out, but I don't just give that out because it's something that took me years to develop and refine. But when I sit down and do the math, that's what I'm doing in my head.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. So it's something I'm looking to go forward in doing that. Now, I do have this the comment section.
You're Munash, you're coming in. You're breaking up a lot, so I can't hear. I can hear you a little bit, but I can't make out what you're saying. The signal is bad.
All right. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Okay. So what I'm saying is another thing that I have is I do have a question in terms of like sales. You told me that you are not a salesperson. You are a guidance person. Just guide someone, go through the sales process, or just guiding them.
Yep.
But I've got my own inferiorities on that. It's not the customer's problem. It's mine. So I just wanted to hide that in getting an assistant or an AV who can do that. Because just imagine, I run the aids, right? It's costing me money, and I lose maybe, let's say, 20% or 30% of my clients because I'm not able to talk to them in the way that they are motivated, right? I'm losing money already. Let
me tell you something. What species are you? You're human, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Every human has a fear and anxiety of this. It's not just you. It's everybody. There are certain people that are born with the ability or they like it. I'm one of those people. I like it. But I'll tell you what, I have taken so many introverts that didn't want to talk to anybody on the phone, and they're the best salespeople. You know why? The best salespeople don't talk that much. They listen to what people want, and then they make a recommendation. They ask questions to find out what's going on. The best salespeople are the people that are the best at discovery. Because once you discover what is the underlying problem or pain point, it's very easy to make a suggestion. And if you let people talk, they often start to tell themselves and sell themselves. Real sales is not about persuading somebody or convincing somebody. It's leading somebody to come to their own conclusions.
Okay.
It's about instilling belief. It's not about being a good talker. It has nothing to do with it. So why am I telling you this? Because I want you to feel good about yourself? No, I'm telling you this because if you don't get on the phone with some of those people in the beginning, you won't understand what's going on. You got to do it a little bit yourself. You have to. If you don't want to do that, it's not a good business for you. I'm being honest.
All right. I do understand what you're saying.
Yep.
All right. I will train myself to do that. And yeah, just go with the model.
And I'll be honest with you, you're an effective communicator because I'm talking to you right now and we're having a very in-depth conversation. So sure, I invited you up as a guest, but you don't have any problem communicating. I understand you perfectly. You're good.
Okay. Maybe it's I'm just making things up in my head and I just need to overcome and take action.
That's my point. You're human. Humans do that. We think things too much. We overthink, and we have irrational fears and limiting beliefs. But when you come up here on my stage, you will not have any limiting beliefs. You will not have them here. When you're done, you can get them back if you want, but not here. All right.
All right.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you for coming up. Hopefully, I was able to give you some good advice. Give me an update. All right. Stay with us. Update us in the chat. Maybe I'll have you back up soon when you have some more stuff going on. You could update us.
All right. It's okay. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. I appreciate you being here.
Okay.
All right. All right, you guys. It is 1:21 and 24 seconds, which means that I've got to sign off. I have a furniture builder person coming to assemble a standing desk that I got. I'm very excited to do that. I will be back here on Monday live once again, and we'll be talking about some of the same stuff, but I'm gonna keep bringing up a new topic. And I'll keep doing some reactions and other things. Have a great weekend. And again, thank you all for being here and staying on with me. I really appreciate it. Love you all.